Hey guys, welcome back. This time we're going to play a 10 plus 0 game, not too long, not too short. So we are playing against a 2135 rated player. Hopefully we'll have a good game. So we have the Sicilian defense in front of us. C takes d4, and I think I'll take back. And basically, this line is might lead to some to the 4 knight Sicilian. Yeah, that's what he does. It's not a very popular line in in the highest levels of chess, but it's pretty popular in club levels. There are some tricks here, so I wanted to address some of them. Basically, black's idea is to go bishop to b4 and try to exert a lot of pressure against the white center. This is why normal moves such as bishop e2 or bishop e3 are not considered to be very popular here. So there are two good moves against this system. One of them is knight b5 with the idea to go knight d6 check, helping the queen is helping on d1, or to take on c6 and go e5, which is much sharper. Are you guys feeling like going into something sharp? I usually go knight b5, play for some solid advantage. Let's try that. So knight b5, the threat is now knight d6. Black has now two options, either to go pawn to d6, trying to block that, or exactly what he did, kind of allowing me to play knight d6. If I do play knight d6 here, he will play king e7. He's losing his right to castle, but he's getting also a lot of the very quick development, so I'm going to play my pawn to a3, kind of forcing him to give up the bishop. So white is kind of happy with the fact that he has the two bishops advantage. But black is fairly active, he has no weaknesses. Now I can just take on d5, but the best move here is bishop to d2. Black is... white's not really afraid of this exchange, which only helps white to kind of set up his bishop on a good outpost on c3. So in this position, I actually know this position from theory. Most grandmasters played bishop d3 here, which is a very normal move, trying to castle, but the strongest move is queen h5. This is actually also the first move by the engine. Just remember checking it back in the day. The idea is to prepare the move long castles, which is especially appealing here since we already have the d file opened up. He plays the move g6, which I really don't like because he's weakening his dark squares around his king. So now I can put my queen probably on h6, and his king is going to be very uncomfortable for the rest of the game, I believe. He's playing queen f6, perhaps with the idea to play queen to g7 and basically try to safeguard his king. I still think white's position is very good here. Especially I want you to take notice of the fact that white has this bishop on d2, which seems innocent at the moment, but because black has no dark square bishop, in the future this bishop might become actually very strong. So should I follow my plan of castling long? I think so. You could take a pawn on f2, but I think it's a very cheap pawn to take. Let's castle. He's probably going to play queen g7 if I have to guess. He's trying to exchange queens, kind of maybe take some pressure off his position. I think I already see a way to win a pawn if I wish. I can just exchange queens, take on d5, pawn takes d5, and then play the move bishop c3 check. And then I collect the pawn on d5. That's a fairly safe option. I think it's just a free pawn up where I can play a very long endgame and converting my pawn. It's a very safe and good option. Another option is to kind of try to maintain my attacking chances, play moves such as queen h4, declining the exchange of queens, which is also a good move, I think. I can also just, since my queen is defended on h6, I can also just ignore what he's doing, continue development, bishop c4, for example. Knight e4 is also a good move, trying to kind of use all of these weak dark squares in his position. So a lot of tempting options there. And we still don't forget the safe option of just trading off everything and getting an extra pawn. I want to mention also that this game is being played without an increment, so I cannot really think for too long. Um, I kind of just have to choose out of intuition here. I feel like the most aggressive move is knight e4, with the idea to go afterwards also c4. So still, I'm still not 100% sure. Yeah, let's do this. It seems like a fun move. Once again, I could win a pawn. I'm very aware of that, but sometimes there might be better things than winning a pawn, keeping your initiative alive. So I spent quite a lot of time on that move. That was maybe a little bit unnecessary. So in general, my next moves should be something like pawn to c4. He exchanges off the queens, but I don't really think it helps him that much. My next move is definitely going to be c4. And now you can really feel the weakness of his dark squares. My knight is now allowed to come to f6 probably. I think already his position is pretty difficult. I think he should be. He probably feels very sorry for playing g6 back in the opening. He could have done without. Let's check on f6, kind of keeping his king on his little checkmating box. And now I should have probably a winning position, but let's try to be precise. First of all, let's exchange rooks, kind of forces knight to go into a passive position. Now I want to bring my rook on d1 as quickly as possible. That's why I think bishop e2 should be the best move. And I think if the white rook manages to get to d1 safely, white will have a complete domination of the position. So he plays knight d7, which is probably a blunder because I can still play rook d1. And if he takes on f6, I take on d8, which is not yet a checkmate, but he will be forced to play knight g8 then, which is not great. Yeah, and this move just loses the knight, so I will take it. Yeah, so I think he would resign pretty soon. He has a piece down. The white rook is very active on the 7th rank. So he decides to continue playing. I think the position is definitely resignable. But he wants to play, that's fine. I'm not even bothered too much taking that pawn on b7. It's not so important for me. It's more important for me to stop him from getting too much counterplay. For example, with the knight on e5. So now maybe he wants to go knight a5. Let's play b4 also. So a very common mistake I see from beginners and also some intermediate players is when they have a winning position, they they try really hard to win as quickly as possible, which is normally not a very good idea. Normally, when you have a good position, a winning position, you should kind of take your time, it can take longer maybe, but the important thing is to win without giving your opponent any chances to get back into the game, and not necessarily winning in the quickest way possible. Yeah, so he keeps on playing. I would definitely resign instead of him. Not only Black is a piece down, his position is terrible. He cannot even get his king anywhere into the center because his king is cut off. He cannot do anything active. The white pieces completely dominate him. So it should be over soon. Maybe just for fun, I should play king c3, king d4, and kind of walk with my king to towards f6, which is kind of resembles the game of Short versus Timon. If some of you know what I'm talking about, the very famous game where white, just in the middle of the game, suddenly maneuvered his king all the way from g1 to f6 with the queens and the rooks on the board. Very famous and beautiful game. Yeah, perhaps unnecessary in this game. I just transferred my bishop on f6 to have slightly more control over his position. For example, not to allow his rook to come to d8 anymore. So you see, I'm not really rushing in any way to win this position. I'm taking my time. It's really not the issue to win as quickly as you can. It's because sometimes when we try very hard to win the game very quickly, we might make a lot of mistakes and give our opponent some chances to escape, which he doesn't deserve. So really no reason to do that. So he plays knight c6, maybe also playing for my time, but probably my viewers should already know that I won't have too much troubles winning, even with a few minutes on my clock. Yeah. So in the meantime, I will tell you some other things. One of them is that the Israeli league was over, and my team managed to get the third place, which is nice because it grants us the opportunity to represent Israel in the European Club Cup, which I think this year is being held in Montenegro. Yeah, the opponent finally resigned. So this game was fairly easy, but a note I did want to give for the sake of the viewers: this move g6 was probably what created most of his problems. You see, the engine already much prefers white's position, and later on, I think he never really had the chance to go back into the game. Be careful when moving your pawns in front of your king, especially if the opponent has for example, a dark square bishop. Then you should be careful not to weaken your dark squares too much like this, because really, in this game, that's what killed black and never allowed him to get any activity in this game. So, hope you enjoyed this game. I'll see you guys in the next time. Bye bye, guys.